Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of The Why, presented by All American Roof Pros and All American Heart Studios. Today I'm sitting down with someone who I think we're going to be good buddies. We've interacted a little bit in the outside world. We're both residents of Norwalk, Ohio, but I'll let him tell his side of the story, and that is Mr. Ryan Bowers. Ryan, thanks for coming on today, man. And
yeah, appreciate having me, Dylan.
Absolutely. Yeah. I always tell everybody at the beginning of an episode, though, like, you're a sales guy, so this should be easy for you, but what's your elevator pitch? If you always meet you on the street, tell me who you are, what you do, what you're all about.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, I can take this in a lot of different directions, but, my name is Ryan Bowers. And like I said, the first thing I like to do is just, say that I am from Norwalk, Ohio. I'm very community-based. I'm involved in a lot of community events and a lot of community organizations, a lot of, community-based things. I'm all about the relationship-based approach. I really am. When it comes to sales, not what you know, it's who you know. Absolutely. And it's building those relationships. So I just like to tell people I'm a community guy and leave it at that. Absolutely. And then we can take it in any direction we really want to take it. But it's just letting them know that I'm not just some outsider that's coming in. I'm just a community-based guy.
Absolutely.
So, and with everything that I do, I am probably in a community somewhere. Whether it's in a, sports officiating, side of things, whether it's in, teaching side of things, whether it's in a, sales related side of things, whether it's in, community engagement side of things, I'm a community guy.
Awesome. So obviously you're married.
I'm married. Yep. Just happily married September 26th.
Of this year?
Of this year.
Well, congratulations.
So like 2 weeks ago or so.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So just recently married. Her name's Katie. She's from the Columbus area. Like I said, we live in Norwalk. I got two beautiful daughters, June 8 and then Ruby 4.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And that's something that's been a hot topic for us here on the podcast lately, just because I'm in a new season of life in parenthood.
Yeah. It's
just kids in general. What would your advice be to, the young dads out there? Because God willing, you may have another one. But, if you were talking to Ryan, you said forgive me for the names. You said June?
June and Ruby.
And yep. June is 8, you said?
June is 8, yes.
Okay. So 8 years ago, Ryan, what advice would you give that guy today?
Yeah, absolutely. Just be able to spend as much time and value every single year, every single day, every single minute, every single second that you have with them. Yeah. Because you never know when that's going to be done, or when they grow up and they move out of the house and everything along those lines. They're a lot of work. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. They wear on you every single day. But it's just the best thing that you can possibly have.
Absolutely, man. I've said that numerous times. Like, it's the coolest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
And you can't. We got a young man in here who's getting ready to have his first little boy, and it's such a blessing as a company. Like, we're able to watch these people develop families, meet their significant other. Like, that's so cool to me. Mm-hmm. But I had to sit down with him the other day, and he's like, "I know." I'm like, "You don't even know. I can't tell you." Like, my wife and I talk about it. It's a light bulb, or it's not even a light bulb. It's like a light switch. Like it just switches.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the world is entirely different the second that baby's born.
Yeah.
And it's the most beautiful thing.
Everything changes. It all comes together. And then, like I said, just getting married and bringing it all together.
Yes.
I mean, that's just another thing. Everything just comes together. Like everything that you kind of knew before that, or the routines that you did, everything just kind of changes, and you're just one big happy family, and you're just figuring it out as you go. But just like embrace it,
100%.
Because I mean, life just flies by.
It does, man, and it's too quick. It's here and gone in the blink of an eye. Ironically, I pulled a dump trailer out, and not to get completely morbid in this early in the episode, but my grandparents passed away, and my dad's selling their house, and I pulled a dump trailer, and it's probably like one of the last times, if not the last time, I'll ever pull in that driveway. They're selling the house. Yeah. I have no reason to go there anymore.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to buy it, and I told my dad, I said, my problem is if I put a renter in there, I'm going to be pissed off every time I go in there and things are destroyed. Or
yeah, absolutely.
you
It's
know,
those little sentimental values of things that you remember. I mean, like I said, we just recently moved, and moving and like shuffling of different stuff and everything. And, my wife, we moved, and she wanted to, try to get rid of a few things, which they should have been probably get rid of a long time ago. But I found like, a note like 20 years old from like my younger brother, about like when he was, we played a lot of sports growing up, about one of his trips to, the state high school tournament in tennis. And it was a note that like I had remembered in my head about like some of the things that he had said, but like physically, I was like, that note's been gone. It literally was like in the drawer,
just in a random spot.
And I was like reading it, and like reading, tears come back to your eyes, and just things like that, are just super super important.
100%, man. And I think there's more value in moments than there are in things. Right?
Correct. Yes.
Like I was just maybe this is something you've done with your kids, or maybe it's something I can help be inspiring with, but. I saw something the other day, probably on TikTok or something, and social media is a beautiful thing if it's used right.
Mm-hmm.
But it said, like, no kid will remember what they got for Christmas, but they'll remember that trip they took.
Yeah, the memories.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, no, you're exactly right. I mean, that's one thing that we're trying to embrace. We're trying to like do things with the kids, whether it's like, weekend trip, whether it's a ride on the golf cart, at night, whether it's just walking them around the block. Yeah, I mean, that's the kind of stuff that like you look back and like, if you really like, look back and like go back in your mind. I tell people like the best times that I had with my parents, they always taught us to work at a really, really young age. I remember Saturday mornings were the best and the worst days ever. I would get up, you'd want to watch cartoons. That'd be very, very short. It would be chores and chores and chores and chores. And at the time, I was like, man, this is absolutely awful.
Yeah.
But like the biggest thing that I remember, like looking back at my childhood, was the memory that I had with my parents on Saturday afternoons. Because it was the days that we were working together. We were outside mowing the grass. We were doing this. We were doing that. That's what I look back and value in the things I remember.
Well, and it is. There's some more value in actually spending time. Like, I was just telling you off camera, my wife and I literally were just at Brandon Lake's concert on Sunday, and I can't say enough. I was texting a buddy about it because we're actually trying to put worship on at a conference that we're doing. Him and I are kind of coordinated. He owns it, but he's one of my best friends.
Okay.
We're just it's a roofing centered conference, but we're like, hey, what if we just throw a little bit of worship in this thing and just do our little part, right? But I was texting him and I was like, it was so cool to be in a room with 12,000 people with the same agenda, all there just to worship and just enjoy that. But what was even cooler to me, and it's probably a little vain, but like was watching my wife be able to freely worship, because I spent some time in Africa, and you watch those people worship, and it's beautiful. It's amazing. The people there are awesome. But in our churches today, and both of us attend the chapel, and don't get me wrong, our leaders there are great. Our worship team is amazing. I love everything about it, but I know I'm guilty of it. At 55 minutes, especially if the Browns are getting ready to play, I'm like, hey, man, let's wrap this thing up. Come on, Joe, you about done? Like, we get to the point, buddy.
Oh, yeah.
And to spend 2.5 hours there and watch my wife like openly and freely worship and not worry about who else is in the room and just surrender herself to God, there's a beauty to that.
There is.
And like, the moment was great, and like the people were great, but like that intimacy with my wife. But back to like, when we had our daughter, I flat out told my wife, I said, we're not stopping living life. Mm-hmm. Just because we have a kid, that's the worst excuse in the world.
Sure.
I can't because I have kids. No, it better be I should because I have kids, because of that exact thing you're talking about of I need to create memories with my daughter that I can't get her back to this. She's almost, in 3 days, she'll be 18 months old. Mm-hmm. But she's only going to be 17 months and 27 days today.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And so what I was saying with that is, if I told my wife when he's coming back to Cleveland, I said, we're taking our daughter. And she's like, well, what about the I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just to be there in that environment, to expose her to that. And yeah, she's only 20 months old. She's not going to remember. But the faster we can expose her to those things.
Absolutely.
Because our number one goal as a parent should not be to get our kids into Harvard. It's to get them into heaven.
Absolutely.
And as men, as fathers, our responsibility is just that.
Absolutely. Yes.
Because what's the statistic? 93% of families that dad goes to church, the kids continue, but only 67 if mom only.
Absolutely. Yeah. The dad is an integral part of it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, having a dad that is invested in their kids, in their Christian faith, especially at our age, it's very rare.
Yes.
It really is rare. You might have, guys that maybe in their teenage years or younger years and everything. And then you might have guys when they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s.
The back end of life.
They get back into life. But really, from in their 30s and the 40s, that is the most crucial time to be living for the Lord and to be setting an example for your kids, because your kids remember it. And that's the longest time that you're going to be able to be with your kids in an influential state.
Yes.
Between 0 and 15 years old or whatever.
If my 50-year-old dad called me up right now and said, "Hey man, you want to go to church?" and I wasn't a churchgoer, I'd be like, "Yeah, homie, I got stuff to do on Sunday."
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But meanwhile, I can drag, kick, and scream. I mean, I don't want that to be the feeling my kids have towards church.
Sure.
Right? But for the young people who are starting a family, my piece of advice is simply this: dedicate we get it. The world is busy.
Yeah.
And that Sunday is hard when kids get involved in sports.
Sure.
When you are running a business, your wife's running a business, you're doing this, you're doing that. I get it. That you're dedicating every Sunday, although we want to say that we're going to do that, it's not going to happen. You're going to go on vacation. You're going to do these things. You're going to live life as well.
Sure. Yeah.
But if you say, "Hey, I'm going to take 3 Sundays a month. I'm going to do 75% of the time, and that's my dedication to God," that's better than 0.
Oh, absolutely it is. Yeah, absolutely. And that they understand that that's high on the priority. Like, it's almost like a non-negotiable.
Yes.
If you treat it that way and everything, and you raise them up like thinking that way, there may be a time that they walk away. Like we all do.
Yes.
But it was ingrained in me. There was a period when I walked away. I'm ashamed to say it, but I always had that in the back of my head, like, "Man, Ryan, you need to get back to church." You know what I'm saying? If I'm sitting here on a Sunday, sleeping in, whatever it is, there was that always in the back of my head poking at me saying, like, "You probably need to go back to church. Probably need to go back to church." And I think if you can, like I said, set those expectations and set those patterns for your kids to where they believe it, to where they know that that's what they need to do, then even if they do walk away, at some point they will get back into church and they will set that for their kids. Then
we can plant the seeds, right? But we can't cultivate their gardens.
Yeah.
Right. We can't make it grow. We can't do, but our job should be to at least set example.
Correct. Yes.
And to go in and not sit there and play on our phone, to be intentional.
Yeah.
And the other thing, too, that's oftentimes missing in our culture in America when it comes to church, in my opinion as well, is, and this is something I commend the chapel for, is the row circle chair mentality, the fact that there's more to it than just going to church and checking the box. Right?
Absolutely. One step closer.
Yes. And it's 1%, right?
Yeah.
And it's a walk, not a race. So don't freaking compare your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 20.
No, it's different.
Yes.
Everything's different, Yeah. I mean, there's newer Christians, there's kind of infant Christians, there's kind of adolescent Christians, then there's more adult, mature Christians, and everyone's at a different stage. And everybody should take things a little bit different depending on what stage they are. So you can't compare yourself to someone else. Maybe you've been a Christian for 20 years or whatever like that. You can't really compare yourself to somebody that maybe just got saved.
Absolutely.
Because they're in completely different, you can worship together and you can encourage and everything like that as well too. But you can't have the same kind of standards. You can't hold them to the same standards that you are, because you're in different stages of your Christian walk and Christian life.
Well, and I think the other thing that's beautiful too is and it's selfish of me just because I enjoy it, but I love the 11th hours more. Like, I just love the beautification of the story of what is the gospel on the 11th hours more than I do the person who was raised all the way up through the church.
Sure.
Even though we're just as worthy, we're just as good.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I was raised, my wife wasn't really a Christian per se. Like, I think she wasn't a non-believer, but just never really taken that step. And now we're at the point in our life where we both got baptized together and just all these beautiful things have happened in our life.
Yeah.
But my grandmother was an 11th hour, and she lived a perfect, what you would define as morally a good Christian life.
Yeah.
She just refused like my uncle's a preacher and she never saw him preach.
Yeah.
Her own son, except for at funerals. That's the only time. But she called him up 6 months before she died and said, "I want to pray that prayer." And
boom, eternity. Yeah.
Yes. And then like the ultimate story of it is as Christ is hanging there on the cross, giving his life for us, and he looks over at the thief and says, "You'll see me today. Will be in paradise."
Perfect example. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That guy was a freaking 11:59er.
He was. He barely got it. Yeah. 11:59 in 59 seconds.
Yes.
You know.
I mean, the shot clock was out.
Yeah.
You know.
Good thing he had a couple breaths left, because if he didn't have a couple breaths left, he probably wouldn't be going to heaven.
Exactly.
You know, but you know, and I I was talking also, about my wife about this also too, is we need to continue to work, to each day get closer to the Lord, because we're either getting closer to the Lord and improving our walk, or we're making our walk worse. There's no middle ground.
No stagnation.
There's no stagnation. So you're either getting better or you're getting worse. So I think every Christian also too, though, has that in common. They really do, because somebody that maybe have, been a Christian for their whole entire lives, are they working to be a better Christian tomorrow? Just like that person that maybe got saved last week, they're working each day to get better, or are they taking steps back?
Yes.
So I do think that we have that in common, which is awesome.
It is.
You can never stop working.
No.
Well,
it's that's anything in life.
Anything in life, yes.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like, even if you're just flipping burgers at McDonald's, if you're not trying to become 1% better tomorrow, it doesn't matter. No. I don't care if you're Elon Musk or, like I said, that the guy who's picking up the garbage on the side of the road. If you're not working to be better for yourself, honestly, it truly is death. Yeah. Like, it has to be, like, for lack of a better term, hell on earth to be in that situation where you just are stagnant in the whole thing, or thinking you're stagnant, and stagnation just literally means dying.
Means dying, yeah, absolutely.
And that's it's a rudimentary term, right? Just to say it's death, but like you're dying in an area of life. Yeah. Right? It's almost like you're losing a limb.
Sure.
You're just looking at the thing going, well, I ain't going to do nothing about it. Well, I don't want to make this whole thing about faith, even though it's huge to us, but it just happened to be our topic before we got on camera. You said in the show notes, that you were shy as a kid, and obviously I don't see that now. Yeah. What changed?
It's hard. It's hard for me. I think now I'm still an introvert, but I'm an extrovert and introvert. I tell everybody that because they're like, man, salespeople can't be introverted. I am an introvert, but I'm extroverted. Yes. And I understand my strengths. And being, an account manager, in my current role, my biggest strengths are my follow-up, like checking in on people. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Not giving lip service because I'm not the best at talking. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not going to make stuff up because
I can't. Yeah. I just can't. So the words that I say, they have to ring true, or I'm not going to get anything done.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I was a very shy kid growing up. I think, I was a firstborn child. I had two brothers. Kind of my, way of just kind of coming out of my shell with sports. I was very, very involved in sports. I liked a lot of different sports, so I would go to school, not really say too much, have some friends, but it really wasn't until I got into sports that I really started having my passion, for that, and kind of, being able to come out of my shell.
Well, that's interesting, though, being a firstborn and being introverted. Yeah. That's an odd combo.
It is. Okay. Yeah.
I just, in what I've seen, it's all observation. I'm not a psychologist by any means, but, I've just studied the identity of human, of who we are. Like, as I watched my 18-month-old, I was just having this conversation with my mom yesterday. And you remember when your girls were little, there's no fear. No. Like, she will jump off the back of the couch. Yep. And those are all ingrained. All of our fears are ingrained into us. One way or another, they are. And, the sad truth is, as parents, we're going to screw up our kids, and we were screwed up by our parents, and it's not intentional. There's nothing, I don't mean that in a derogatory way or to say that my parents were bad people, but we do things that inherently make our kids who they are.
Absolutely, we do. Yeah.
Because not all of us are born with the same skill set, but we're born with the same type of. Most babies are outgoing, right? Yeah. Most babies, they don't really care. There's no observation of the world. But that's just is your
So it's interesting. So I think there's a couple different reasons why. So my parents both came from Pennsylvania. They moved to small town Norwalk, which had small town politics, just like probably every other small town around here in the area. So they weren't really known.
Yep.
In the community.
You had to have a name brand.
We need to have a name brand. Also, at the time, we really didn't have that much money. My mom was a teacher. She didn't really make too much money at the time. My dad works for a publishing company before he got into sales and started making a lot better money. So like my clothes weren't always the coolest. I was kind of a little dorky. I wore, glasses, but not the cool glasses now, the really thick ones.
Oh yeah, the old Coke bottles.
Oh yeah, the Coke bottles. I got sneakers from Walmart before it was cool to get sneakers from Walmart. Now you can buy Walmart sneakers and they're probably nicer, than the other ones. But yeah, so I think I had that going for me. Like I said, my parents, it wasn't a household name. I didn't really have. I had younger brothers, but there was a big age gap between us, like 5.5 years and then 13 years.
So you were pretty much solo.
I kind of was like an only child for a little bit, and my parents I wouldn't say they sheltered me, but we did a lot of stuff together. That's why I formed a really good relationship with my parents.
Yeah,
which is awesome. Which is great. Which is awesome.
Gift you can have.
Yeah, greatest gift I have. So, but yeah, school I wasn't always the best at school. I was kind of a slow learner. It took me a while to get things. I wasn't the best reader. So that being not a good reader when you're in second and third grade,
when they ask
you to read, that can cause you to be a little more shy. Yeah, that can cause you a little more shy because when you're reading, it takes you forever to read, and people are looking at you. Wow, something's wrong with that kid. Yeah. So I think there's a lot of variables that went into that of why I was a shy kid.
Yeah. Well, and that's funny, man, because like I said, I don't ask it to be any type of way. I really just want to know, kind of the premise of the podcast, why we are who we are.
Sure.
And I also think that there's some benefit in that, right? Like not having a lot growing up.
Yeah.
Gives us the desire to go work hard.
Yeah.
To go want more. To go after, you look at the people who have been handed everything their entire lives, not all of them. I can't say, because it's not exclusive on either side of the fence, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I will say that those of us, because my parents had me when they were 20, I wouldn't say poverty-stricken by any means. We had what we needed, but it wasn't, we didn't have lavish. I didn't fly on a plane until I was 16. Meanwhile, my daughter got it at 6 months, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I'm much further ahead in life by metrics than my parents were.
Sure.
Not by kids, but by
sure.
metrics, pure metrics. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it just is what it is. But what I think it does is it fuels a fire inside of us to go be hard workers, to go do what we have to do, right?
Absolutely.
It's what I call this is where we're gonna clash, Ryan. I'm the guy who's all into wrestling. You're the guy that's all into basketball. Yeah. And I can't match basketball is like watching paint dry to me. Now live, it's cool.
Yeah,
I'm the same way with baseball though. Unless the Tribe's and deep in the playoffs,
then it's tough to watch.
Yeah, it is. But we call it the wrestler's mentality because there's a statistic with Navy SEALs.
Okay.
And 67% of guys who were in wrestling make it through Navy SEALs because they're stupid enough to just do whatever you ask for them.
Makes sense. Okay.
And wrestling is one of the few individual sports that you can get really hard, it's super hard.
Yeah.
Right. But just those kind of things, right? Sure. And all those little intricacies play a role in developing who we are as people.
Absolutely.
And yours were actually beneficial, although they sucked in the moment.
Yeah. But
temporary pain leads to ultimate glory at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. It taught me to just be hardworking, taught me to be driven. I mean, I was a paper boy. My first job was a paper boy back in the day, back when delivering papers was kids going out on bikes or walking and then collecting from people, from total strangers, knocking on the door, a little 11-year-old Johnny knocking on the door,
doing collections.
I mean, come on, think about that now.
I didn't realize the paper company did AR with their freaking 11-year-old staff.
Yeah. Think about how crazy that is. And then I remember there was this one house, and it was kind of this abandoned house, and this guy, he was a hoarder like crazy, and I think is such a hoarder that his steps were falling in, and he had a whole bunch of stuff in there, and I think they might have even condemned his house at one point. But he was so far behind on collections, and then at the time that was probably when papers were 50 cents for the week or something.
Yeah,
I remember he was something crazy. I think he was so far behind. I think he owed $20, and $20 would be probably owing $200 today, and I'm trying to come up and talk to him, and $20.75, or whatever like that too, and ripping off like half the book and give them his like little receipts and everything. Which never happened today. But yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that like, you're taught hard working, like go out and get a job, like make money, you know. I was given allowance, I was given a dime, a week. So I wanted to go make, when I did paperwork, I made $20 a week.
Exactly.
Or $25. I mean, that's great money at the time.
Oh, shit,
compared to a dime to $25 a week.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, and I think there's so much value in that. Like, as parents, that's the power struggle with ourselves, right? Because we know that's what made us who we are.
Yeah.
But also we're like, man, I want my kids to enjoy things, like, and that's where it gets hard. Right?
It is. Yeah, that's that's tough. You're exactly right with that, because I mean, I've been blessed with a nice house, good size, 4 bedrooms, and I want to give the girls as much as I possibly can give them, but I also don't want to like give them too much to where they want to work at it. So it's like trying to figure that how to keep them grounded.
Yes,
but also have knowing that, listen, you're always going to be taken care of.
Yes.
When you come asking for something for school or a new pair of sneakers or whatever, you're going to be able to get them, because I'm taking care of you, and you don't have to worry.
But
about,
also creating something where they earn it, right?
Absolutely, yes.
It's creating that give and take, like teaching them basic economics. Like we have a couple girls who hang out with us quite a bit, and one of them was going to go buy something at a horse show with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And it was $22 or something, and the guy's like 22 or 23.75. She's like 23.7. I thought you said it was $22, and we're like, that's Uncle Sam, sweetie. Yeah, he's gonna get his cut regardless, know. And just teaching basic things like that. But I had a buddy, so I'm lucky enough to be around a lot of really great dads, and nobody wrote the book on this crap. You and I can sit here and we can say how. I'm sure we have a lot of similarities in how our parenthood, because I'm the same way, man. Like, I want my little girl to have anything she wants. I also think it's my responsibility as a dad to make it so that no boy really can impress her, right?
Correct.
Because she needs to be impressed with herself.
Mm-hmm.
But also because I want my little girl to want better for herself. So, like, I want her to be like, no, my dad's taking me to a nice steakhouse. My dad's taking me on a cruise. My dad has a nice truck. My dad, like,
absolutely.
I am the standard, right?
Sure.
As men, we are who our daughters will marry and who our sons will become.
Correct. Yeah.
And that's the mentality I've taken. But with that being said, I still think there's some merit with having to earn things. One thing I've said, and I will tell my daughter this once she can legibly understand, is, yeah, we have money. It's mommy and daddy's money. It's not your money.
Correct. Yeah.
Because I told all my parents, both my in-laws and my parents, spend it all. Mm-hmm. If I need it when I'm 60, I have a problem. So enjoy it while you're here.
Sure.
You're the only people in the world who I would give the advice to get a reverse mortgage on your house, because I don't need your money.
Yeah.
And that's the mentality that they were able to raise me with.
Sure.
So with that being said, although my daughter will have nice things, she's already been on vacation. She's taken 8 flights at this point.
Yeah. All
that good stuff. It doesn't matter, because when she turns 16, we're not giving her a truck. When she's ready to go do fair projects, you're going to earn that money somehow.
Absolutely. Yeah. She has to have some skin in the game to understand the value.
We can help.
Understand the value. Yeah, you can help. Absolutely. We're going to help. Yeah.
Yes.
I believe, I believe we have to help, because, I mean, they're not going to be, no matter what they do, I mean, unless they, start a, Fortune 500 company when they're like 12 years old, they're going to need some help.
Yes.
But like, I mean, perfect example of that, last night, for my oldest daughter, June, she had received like a $25 gift card for her birthday to like Target, so we're going around Target and we're like, $25. So she's looking at stuff, and of course, all the different stuff was way over money, way over.
Anymore, $25 don't go very far.
Doesn't go very far. Doesn't go very far. So like, we're looking, and she's like looking stuff $29.99 and different stuff like that. Well, can you just? Nope, we 25 bucks. 25 is the number, and which then she realized, like, after asking for the first couple of times, we weren't going to budge on getting her something more than $25. $25 was your limit, and she stopped even looking at stuff that was over $25 because she knew that she wasn't going to get it. So I think just even little things like that, installing those kind of principles, financial principles are huge.
Yes. Well, see, because there's something I ran into. Like I said, we didn't grow up wealthy by any means. Like I said, we never hurt for. but we weren't wealthy. Like I was working 40 hours a week in high school just because I wanted more for myself. It was just who I was.
Yeah.
And I think being firstborn, that plays into too, because then you're always told, hey, take care of your brothers, take care of your sisters.
Yes, yep.
You know, you hear that stuff, so it ingrains in you, and you're like, I'm gonna go get my first job at Pizza Hut. I work my way up to manager. That's a whole freaking thing. But regardless from that, like, I want my kids to want to do that. Now, do I want my kids to be working 40 hours a week in high school when they should be enjoying high school? No.
Yeah.
It's something I wish my parents would have been like, hey, let's slow down a little bit. Let's make sure we're still doing. And don't get me wrong, I was go. Like second I was 16, that truck, I put 40,000 miles on it before I turned 18, right?
Yeah.
So like I was on prom steering committee. I was on this, I was on that. I was in FFA. I was in all these things, and I was able to work my schedule out to work.
Sure.
But what I did run into is because I never really had money, or I never really had my parents coach me on, hey, let's take half of what your birthday money is and swirl it away into an account. It was, oh, I've got $500. I'm going to spend $600. There's actually a poster, a Tommy Boy poster, hanging in my office that I bought when I was 16. And we joke, it cost me $300 in bank charges because I overdrew my account buying this stupid thing. And it's a $300 poster.
Yeah.
It's worth nothing to anybody but me.
Yeah.
But it's a subtle reminder of, hey, dummy.
Yeah.
Just make sure you got enough money to pay your bills first.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know? Yeah. No, I learned that the hard way, you know, too. You know, the first time I got my credit card, you know, you got a $500 like limit, you know, and I boom, spend that $500 like it's nothing.
It's not my money.
It's not my money. Credit card money. $500, and then I lose a credit card, and then like, you know, at the time I'm living here, living there, then it comes back, and all the fees from it wound up costing me $1,500, $2,000 for a $500 credit card.
Yes.
You know, and then also ruined my credit for a few years.
Absolutely.
As well too.
Yeah.
You know. So I think that there also is that learning for kids as well too.
Yeah, and they're going to screw up.
They're going to screw up. You know, I believe that they are going to screw up. I don't want them to screw up so bad to where it puts them behind the 8 ball.
Yeah.
You know,
we want our kids to be better.
We want our kids to be better. Exactly. You know, we want them to be better than we were at that age, or, you know, whatever. But yeah, I think there is a little bit of trial and error though with them as well too.
Well,
you know?
And your daughters are almost at the age where I think it's a good place to start thinking about doing some mission work with them. Because another friend who I have running circles, and I was talking to him about this, and I said, you know, how do we do this? Because he does the same thing with his kids. They go everywhere with him, all that good stuff. I'm like, bro, how do we, because we both came from similar situations. I'm like, how do we create that adversity in our kids' lives? Because we're not going to do it. Like, I'm not going to intentionally get divorced from my wife. I'm not going to, all these things are not going to happen.
You're not going to be able to show them that.
No, I can't create those things.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight with my wife just because I want my kids to be better.
I'm not going to come home from a bar. It's not happening.
No,
you know?
No. And once again, my parents are great. But that being said, I do think that taking that, he goes, show them what we're doing it for. Take them out to community events and show them the kids who are less fortunate and why we're working so hard. Or when we donate toys, take them and try to get the opportunity to go and give those kids those toys so they can get that feeling.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
That intangible that, you know, you think you're giving this kid a toy and it's great, right? We do the shop for Christmas around here. I think we gave 18 kids a Christmas last year, which is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even talk about it that much because I don't care. Like, to me, it's just serving. Yeah. And I just want to serve. I overserve by my accountant standards. But taking my kid and being able to go, hey, look, here's a toy that we don't play with, or we went to the store and bought this kid these toys. This is something that they now get to have at Christmas.
Absolutely, yes.
Or whatever that is, right? Or we get to go feed them. Or whatever. And that, I think, is the real value, too, of showing them why you work so hard.
Sure, absolutely. And it just given them the understanding of, you know, put yourself in a day of their shoes.
Yes.
I remember, you know, when I was, you know, growing up, and like sports was a big part of my life, and I was lucky to have my dad coaching me in a lot of different areas. And I forget what it was. It might have been either like basketball, travel. I think it was like basketball, like, you know, a traveling league or something. I think we were like in 5th or 6th grade, or maybe who knows when it was, you know. We'd always play these kids from like the inner city, and they were always just, you know, better than us. They would fight harder. They'd be more aggressive. They would work harder. And I remember asking my dad, I'm like, man, why do they, why do we always lose to them? Why do they just always seem like they're better or they take it to another level? And they're like, think about when you go home, what you're going to do. You're going to go home, you're going to get food in your belly, as much food as you possibly can. You're going to watch TV before you go to bed. You might have another snack. You're going to get in your nice, warm, cozy bed with some nice heat on, and you're going to sleep like a baby. They're not doing that. It is completely different. They might not even know what home they're going home to.
Yeah.
They might not even know where they're going, where they're staying tonight. Next time they get food, whatever.
Yeah.
I thought, oh man, yeah.
It's perspective.
Perspective, definitely perspective.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So no,
How cool is that though that your dad was able to recognize that for you as a young man to instill that in you to go, hey man, it could always be worse.
Always be worse. Yeah.
And you could have the same conversation with those kids.
Absolutely you could. Yep.
You could turn the shoe around on the other foot and talk to those kids about a situation that's worse than their situation.
Sure.
And it's something I constantly talk about with people. I do not do well with people who boo-hoo. I can't do it. I don't. I want to help you, but you have to want to help yourself.
Sure.
And I think that everything that happens in life either happens to us or for us, and it's all on how we receive it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
It's not playing the victim role. I mean, we've all been dealt a different hand, and some of us have been dealt a better hands than others. But it's how we overcome that,
or
play the
hand.
Play the hand, or how we get up. It's not, when you get knocked down, you will get knocked down. It's how you get up, dust yourself off, and keep moving.
Yeah, and pardon my French, but I say this is the thing that I use is everyone has shit and it all stinks.
It's true. Yeah.
I mean, it's serious.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
Like, we all have a certain level of trauma, and if we play the comparison game of, well, Ryan had it better than me, so I'm just gonna. He's just got it so much easier. You don't know what Ryan did to get to where Ryan is.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
And some of the most successful people I know came from. Actually, I think every successful person I know came from nothing.
Failures.
Yes. And getting kicked. Like, what I say makes a good entrepreneur, and this is why I'm very risk adverse. I just don't care. It is because I'll get knocked down and I'll get right back up. Like, I'm too stupid to quit.
Yeah.
To be honest with you. And I think that's like a good trait in sales reps too.
Oh, it definitely is. How many no's? You get so many no's. What are you going to do?
No is an answer.
No is an answer. Yeah. Yeah.
No is an answer.
No is one step closer to a yes.
Yes.
The more
get you off of that one and on to the next one, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Adversity builds us.
It does. The more failures you have.
Yes.
I mean, that's one of the reasons, to get in a little bit of why I'm an adjunct professor at Terra State Community College. I became that. I was never very good in school. I have a B&I presentation that I'm doing tomorrow at the Norwalk Group.
Awesome.
And I'm going to
if I was in town, I'd come see it.
And I'm going to tell about my school journey, and it goes 1.8 to 4.0. So I graduated high school with a 1.8, which is really, really low and really bad. I think it's like a D, whatever. I passed, and everything.
Yeah.
And I tried to go the traditional route because my parents thought that college degree was go. So
at the time, man, that's all parents talked about.
So I went to a school for about a year and a half and flunked out of there, came back, and went to Bowling Green Firelands, university campus, and tried there, and that didn't work out. I went to Hovey, tried to take some classes there, that didn't work out. Went to Lorain County Community College while also working a full-time job. I'm still busting my tail working a full-time job, but I tried the route so many different times until I finally then went to Ohio Business College in Sandusky, and that was a little bit different. You could use some of the stuff that you had in the real world in your classes. I was like, oh, cool, I get this.
Yeah.
I can do this, So I wound up getting my associates there, and there was a program that they had, a cohort program that was connected with Terra State Community College, but it was to get a bachelor's degree at Tiffin University. It was like a year and a half cohort, so I took that and wound up then getting my bachelor's degree at Tiffin University through Terra. The classes were at Terra. And I had my bachelor's degree. And at the time then I thought, you know what? I'm playing with house money now. I would have never, ever, ever told you that I was going to get any kind of degree, let alone a bachelor's degree. I got casino money now. I might as well just roll the dice and see if I get my master's degree. Yeah. Thinking I would have taken one class and was going to fail out. Somehow I got through that. got my master's degree and I got a 4.0.
Yeah.
You know? And after that was done, I said, man, you know, I want to become an adjunct professor because a lot of those, you know, the community college are the non-traditional students.
Yes.
The ones that like maybe have you know, came back in life or whatever, or maybe hit a wall, or maybe it's doing a job that they really
they're playing rebound.
They're playing rebound and they're looking for something else. So that was the reason why I became an adjunct professor, because I wanted to be able to help those kids and those people out.
Absolutely. How old were you when you got your bachelor's?
I would have been bachelor's 37. And master's 39.
That's awesome. Well, see, so here's why I asked. Because a common topic that I talk about is something I'm very passionate about. I have a teaching degree.
Okay.
High school mathematics. I can teach all the way up to Calc 1.
Okay.
I don't do it, obviously. Sure. I won't. My license has since lapsed. But that being said, I've been a very big advocate against traditional education. And that's something that I think
we can talk for hours about this.
Well, see, so that's where I think this is an interesting place to put it, because correct me if I'm wrong, but you're in a position with doing this at Terra State where you're doing non-traditional. You're getting the people that, because I think the dumbest thing that we do as a society in the United States, and I don't think that Europe has it figured out either, because I think a gap year is dumb as well. Mm-hmm. But I think the dumbest thing that we do is look at an 18-year-old kid in a high school counselor's office and go, what do you want to do with the rest of your life? Because I'm 31 and I still have no idea what I want to do.
Yeah.
Granted, I'm blessed beyond measure. I call myself semi-retired because I work when I want. I get to do things like this.
Sure.
But to ask an 18, because if you would have asked 18-year-old Dylan, I knew I worked hard. I knew I wanted to go do something that made me some money, and I was a smart kid. I was on the opposite of that. I think I graduated on 3.8 or 3.9.
Yeah. Right
from high school, and went and got my engineering degree, or started my path towards my engineering degree. Mm-hmm. Basically, got an associate's, and then started a construction company and dropped out of college, and then went back during COVID. That's the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But regardless, if I would have stayed on that path, I think I would be miserable right now.
Yeah.
Like looking back and knowing engineers now, and they're great people and they do a service to society. But for me and my skill set, I was not set up by the public education system to be who I am. And it drives me wild because as I talk to kids, like my mentality is a little bit different, will be a little bit different with my kids. And it's kind of in two veins, right? It's, hey, go to school, apply yourself, do what's asked of you because it's what we're supposed to do. And we may end up homeschooling. That's a whole different topic altogether. But either way, as of right now, if we go the traditional education route, it's go do your best. But also, I'm not going to have you sit at my kitchen table until midnight doing homework. I will have a conversation with your teacher, and maybe I'll run for school board. Who knows? We'll see how that all goes, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to ask that you apply yourself because that's what we need it from that's what we want as a representation of our family.
Sure.
But to judge you based strictly on your grades, even though I'm very proud of you for getting your 4.0. So don't think that I'm taking away from that.
Later on in life.
Exactly.
I had to take the right path to be able to get there.
Yes.
So like I said, a couple areas where like the routes that I took, I knew that I couldn't take anything, accounting or tax related or anything along those lines, or I would fail out of the program. I knew that I couldn't take anything science based, anatomy, physics, anything along those lines. I had to take the right path to be able to get there and apply the stuff that I was learning in the real world.
Because that's what matters.
Because that's what matters. Exactly. I mean, that's why, like I said, the classes that I teach and everything,
what do you teach?
They're not based marketing classes.
Okay.
I teach a professional selling class. I teach a marketing class, an advertising class, a few different classes. But really, it's just about branding and marketing yourself.
Yes. And it's real world application.
Real world application and getting yourself interconnected.
Yes.
And being able to teach yourself to be organized, being able to teach yourself to, if you say something, you're going to do it. The follow through, how you present yourself. all leadership, real world stuff.
Yes.
That's really, really what it is.
It's basic.
You know, to me, to us, it's basic
because we do it every day.
We do it every day. It's just basic. How to write a good email, you know, with proper grammar. You know, how to look someone in the eye and talk to them, shake their hand, whatever like that. That is just all basic stuff, but it's all stuff that's like gets missed in translation in the regular school system.
Well, because we're judging kids based on what they score.
What they score.
Because what does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting down, and I was a terrible test taker. I think a lot of times is because I had test anxiety. I had a form of ADHD, even though it was never diagnosed. So like when you put a test in front of me, you know, I'd start doing it, and then my imagination would go on, and then I would lose focus. Yeah, I'd probably know the answer, but then I would lose focus, and I'd try to come back with it, and then I'd wind up running out of time. Then I'd get frustrated. Yeah. So like it was never a true representation of what I knew up here. It was just a representation of the whole test system, which I think the whole test system is flawed.
It is.
It is totally flawed.
Well, and what we're doing, this is actually a light bulb moment for me. What we're doing is we're taking these kids, and instead of, honestly, what we're doing is put a Band-Aid on the trauma wound. Because Ryan, I'll use the example because that's what I think it just works the best. He's a bad test taker. He can't focus. He can't do this. He can't do that. Instead of addressing the fact that maybe he just needs to be, the test needs to be administered in a different way, whether that's auditory, you know, because we're all different learners, but instead we want to say, this is the one way we're going to do it. This is the only way we're going to judge, all that good stuff. We don't, and we go, hey, you need to be on a WEP or an IEP.
Yeah.
But all that does is now puts a label on that kid, and we're taking them, instead of going, how do I highlight his strengths? And this isn't a fault to the teachers; it's a fault to the system.
Yeah.
And I think that most teachers go in with the right intentions and end up leaving with a disdain towards the education system by the time it's all said and done.
Absolutely, that's why a lot of teachers are getting out of it.
Yes.
Well, for many reasons, not just that.
But there's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But instead, because I'll be the first one to say, as somebody with an education degree, with an education background, somebody that goes and speaks to these individuals, I go around. I haven't done it this year. I need to get back on it, but I've gone around and spoke to schools and talked to different administrators and try to talk about these different things and how do we actually prep kids for the real world, and that's the stuff that matters. I highlight agricultural education. I think it's one of the most valuable pieces
huge
a kid can have.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing the state didn't do away with, and they took away industrial arts because they said, well, we have the government funding for this, and it was a bridge to now bring shop into class. And I learned about taxes in freaking ag ed.
Yeah.
Like I took 4 ag ed classes my senior year just because I actually learned something in that.
Ag ed, you know, it's crazy. So at Terra State, there's two types of students that come to me with the different majors. There's ones with they're a marketing major, and there's ones with an ag business major. Yeah. Who do you think are the smartest kids?
Ag business, all day. All day.
And
they're the hardest workers.
They're the hardest workers. They get it.
Yes.
They get it.
And there's so much involved in this country in ag.
Yeah, and there's so much. It's just fine-tuning a few different things for them. But they're always the ones that I look on. You know, I've been teaching there for 4 years. You know, if I had to go down the list of the most successful students and what they're doing now, they're all the ag students. Yeah. They really are. They might be starting their own business. They might be here. I'm trying to, you know, they get it. They get it, and they're at the point where I can interconnect them.
Yes.
Whether it's USDA, connecting them with someone there, whether it's, you know, ag credit, whether it's whatever.
To help them
start to where they're at, to where they can start something they love, something they love already.
Yeah. I
might have the connections to be able to connect them to help get them to that next step.
Absolutely.
You know, they're the easiest ones to help because they come assessed with enough tools. Some of the other ones, I hate to say it, they don't have a clue.
They're just behind the 8 ball.
They're behind the 8 ball, and it's trying to get them up and get them to understand. Mm-hmm. I try to help each, you know, kid, you know, get a LinkedIn page.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Basic business.
You got a TikTok, bro. Just get a LinkedIn.
Yeah, get a LinkedIn. You know, it's business. Start liking, you know, organizations that you might be a part of. What are you passionate about? Start going in there and looking at those organizations, you know, liking them, comment on those, get connected with those.
Yeah.
What do you like in the, you know, in the community? It's just in community engagement, especially with, you know, trying to be able to keep students and kids in a rural area, you have to get them interconnected and keep them engaged, or they're going to go to, New York or Boston or Philadelphia or Dallas or whatever. They're going to go to
our talent
here. They're going to go to big cities.
Yes.
And they're going to get eaten up. They're going to be gone.
Well, see, so I guess this is kind of like I said, this is really an enlightening moment for me because I never really thought about it. But now that I've had this conversation with you, I think that the only ones that have it figured out in the current education systems are the community college and the trade schools. Those are the two that really actually have it figured out. They're actually giving kids real world applique.
Absolutely, yes.
And if nothing else, like I think that trade schools are the best benefit to a high school kid in the world, because if you think you might want to go do something, go try it out. It's free.
Yes.
Or when you're out of high school, if you're past the trade school, go try a job out. And if you hate it, guess what? You at least made a couple of bucks along the way.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
And doing those things and trying to figure out what you actually want to do rather than saying, here's this book. Okay, you're going to Ohio State. And I'm a big Buckeyes fan.
Yeah,
I just think that our education system's screwed or messed up. It needs a major overhaul. Like I said, we have a trauma wound and nobody wants to address it. We just want to keep throwing Band-Aids on it.
Yeah.
And instead, these small community colleges, because what I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but most of your community colleges actually have professors who are doing this stuff in the real world.
Yeah, I don't have a teaching degree. I have a master's degree in business.
Yeah. And what you're doing is you're going out and applying it rather than an entrepreneur. Oh, man, you want to get me fired up. If you go to school for an entrepreneur degree, you're probably not an entrepreneur. That is like,
How can you teach something that you're not even doing?
Yes. And the guy that's standing in front of you has never started a business, has no idea what he's talking about.
Yep.
And I'm not saying all of them, but a fair majority have never actually done the thing.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. Yep.
How in the hell are you supposed to sit there and tell me how to go into the real world and apply this?
And kids are coming in there, they're asking you, they're seeking advice.
Yes.
They want help, and you don't have the tools to be able to help them.
My favorite class I ever took in college, I got my final degree online.
Mm-hmm.
But my favorite class I ever took was an anthropology class. And I think the main reason why, I don't remember her name. I need to find out if I can get her on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But she was amazing. She had actually gone to Africa, done the studies, and it was like, she would hand us like skull replicas and be like, all right, which one's the human, which one's the chimpanzee?
Oh, that's cool.
And it was just like really cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
And just like learning about because although I am a Christian, I think that there's some merit in the history of things. And I don't think that we get it messed up as Christians. I just think the timeline's screwed up. That's my opinion on it. Because you can't tell me if I dig it up out of the ground, it wasn't there. Like, it's facts.
Yeah,
right? Sure. But what I did love is, and I think as good Christians, we should go and study things that we're questioning.
Absolutely, you should.
Yeah, I'm sure your brother as a pastor has read the Quran. He's probably at least breezed through it and got an idea of what the principles are.
Absolutely, to understand.
Yes.
Understand why Christianity is the right path.
Yes,
because you have to look at other ones.
How are you going to define it?
How are you going to know it? Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So the same thing is to be said there. But what I loved about that, I'm doing a Trump weave. I do these all the time. But what I loved about that class is she went out into the real world. She had I remember listening to this. This was probably like the one thing that I remember like vividly. She had an audio recording. This was back in 2000. I think I took the class in 13 or 14. So like iPhones weren't as prevalent as they are now. Like everything's all recorded. She had an audio recording of someone getting attacked by a jaguar while they were in the bush in the middle of the night. And it was just super cool. And then like she gave like all of the why this happened. Like she had done the study on it, right?
Yeah.
And it's somebody that was out there doing these things. I wasn't just listening to somebody from a textbook.
Sure. She was telling a story in her shoes. It wasn't like she was just teaching out of a book.
Yes.
Of why.
She didn't open a freaking McGraw-Hill textbook that somebody wrote 50 years ago and go, this is why. No, she went, look, I'm authentic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And authenticity sells.
Absolutely.
These colleges need to be authentic.
They need to be authentic. You can't have a professor in there that's making 150 grand a year and he's got a doctorate.
Yes.
Doctorate degree. And I'm not saying anything's wrong with that.
No.
I'm not saying anything's wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
But they've never been in the field.
Yes.
They've never been out in the field and they're trying to teach it.
Yes.
I'd say 95% of the stuff that I teach is real world application of maybe what I did that day, maybe some trial and error of what worked, what didn't work.
Hey man, the world's changed. This doesn't work anymore. This is what I used to do.
This is what I used to do. Don't do this.
Yes.
Do this.
And that's real.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is how we can apply what I learned, because I learned it, because I tried it and it didn't work, and now
this is what I'm doing out in the field. And I think the kids can understand. I shouldn't say kids because there's some adults in there too. The genuineness of it. And understanding, like, oh wow, yeah, they're actually out doing this. Like, this is real world. This is real world stuff.
And it sells.
It sells. Yeah.
But when that teacher's up there, he's got to sell you, or he or she has to sell you on the fact that they know what they're talking about.
Absolutely, yeah.
Your least favorite teachers you've ever had weren't selling you. They opened up the textbook, said, "This is the way it is. It's because I said so."
Yeah.
And they shut the book. That's not authentic.
No, when I think a lot of times, especially, and gets to this topic too, the higher ed institutions that are just making buku money.
It's a money game.
It's a money game. They're businesses.
Yes.
They're large organizations.
Just because you're labeled as a nonprofit,
they're making lots and lots and lots of money. They're able to bring in these doctors and pay them more and doing everything. But I mean, if you're bringing in somebody that's only teaching, and they're teaching something that people are doing out in the real world, and they're not actually doing that, well, then they're not really, mastering their craft, or they're not really, brushing up and staying at the top of their game on the craft of what they're actually teaching in class.
Well, and I think a good testament to that as well, that it's a money grab, is the fact that these institutions will gladly take your money knowing that you're getting a degree in something, because they know the statistics. Mm-hmm. When you go get a history degree in today's world, and I'm a history buff. Yeah. I love history. I think history is one of the coolest topics in the world. Mm-hmm. What in the world are you going to do with a history degree when you leave college?
Yeah.
And I'm going to take $160,000 that you can't bankrupt somebody from. Mm-hmm. You can't file for bankruptcy and alleviate the debt. It's on you for the rest of your life. Yeah. They'll take all your crap when you die if you don't have it paid off. Mm-hmm. Like, it is strictly business. And the fact that they're not saying, hey, we know statistically that there's only going to be 10 job openings when this class graduates, so we're going to accept 20 kids with the anticipation that half of them are going to, like, it's a numbers game. But we're going to take 150 of them, like Maggie, our marketing girl. Mm-hmm. I was giving her a hard time because I wasn't able to make it to her graduation. She was working here through college, and we watched her graduation online. Mm-hmm. And I remember watching, like, the sociology kids, and I'm like, okay, that's great, but, like, not all of you are going to be Socrates. Yeah. So, like, what are you doing?
What are you going to do with it?
Yeah, if you're going to be a social worker or something, I don't know what you do with that degree. Yeah. But, like, giving these kids a clear path of, all right, here are your options. Here's what the availability in the workforce looks like. Because we want to, and I apologize, Ryan, because I feel like you're a clean cut guy, but this is just who I am. But we want to bitch about the fact that kids are getting these degrees and they're not able to use them, but we're not doing anything to fix the problem.
No, we're not. Yeah.
We're doing nothing.
Well, basically, I mean, what we're doing is we're putting it out there. We have the degrees out there. It's selling. If everyone's buying.
They're great marketers.
When
Ohio State's football team's good, guess where you want to go?
Yeah, go to Ohio State. Yeah. You can. What do you like to do? Oh yeah, we have a degree for that. Yeah. You might never get a job in that, but hey, come to Ohio State.
Yeah. What's your hobby?
You can say on your resume you went to Ohio State.
Yes.
Or you can say I'm a Buckeye for life.
Yes.
Hey, you might be a Buckeye for life, but you're going to pay for life.
Yes.
With a Buckeye degree.
Yes. But and the trade schools are so important. Like, my job, and really even sales in general, like, it is a dying breed. There's a lot of people who have aged out of the trades, who are aging out of just general sales. It will be sales has always been the highest paid profession in the world. I tell sales guys that when they walk through the door. Yeah. It is the highest paid profession in the world. Because guess what a doctor does? He sells you something. Guess what a lawyer does? He sells you something. I don't care what they say on the title, it's a sales job. But that being said, when you come down to, like, the hardy trades, your plumbers, your electricians, your HVAC technicians, your roofers, all these people who work on things that aren't going away. This building that we're sitting in isn't going to disappear tomorrow. No. It's not all of a sudden going to become maintenance free. I got to hire people to come in and fix my crap. Mm-hmm. Those people are going away, and we are not pushing kids to opportunities.
We're not replacing them.
No.
We don't have enough people. We don't have enough kids in the pipeline to be able to replace those.
Nope.
I mean, and that's why for certain trades are making out of trade school $100,000 or whatever, for taking a 18-month course or,
And they got paid to do it.
They got paid to do it.
All the time they were journeymen, and they were making $30 an hour before that. Now they're making $50.
And good for them.
Yeah, and it's great.
Yeah.
But we're not letting kids know about these opportunities.
Yep.
Like, it almost makes me wonder if there's a kickback in one of these high schools for them pushing kids to go to college. I think what it is, honestly, it's not a kickback per se, but everything comes back to money. Like, it's just a basic sales principle in the world. Like, when you're selling somebody, it's a money question. Get it back to money, you can sell it on it, right? So the same thing is to be said there. It comes back to funding. It's different with how it's done, but what it comes back to is how many kids did you get to go to college this year? That's the stat that the state wants to see.
You have, and for every school, for every college, you'll have one or multiple marketers. That is their main job to go out there, and they are paid on the quota of how many students they come. Yes. And if they're not cutting it, get rid of them, bring in somebody else that will.
Yes. Well, and here's something, just because we're both sports guys, maybe you got this when you were getting ready to graduate. I did. I was not a great football player by any means. I was on a good team. I was an okay football player. I was a little bit better wrestler. Not great athlete. I was a guy that had to work for everything. Mm-hmm. That's just who I was. But I remember getting a letter in the mail from Trine University.
Yeah, Trine.
Never went and did a freaking tryout. Uh-huh. Hey, we want you to come play football. And like in the moment, like they sent me a T-shirt, and I was like, oh man, that'd be kind of cool. And I started looking at how much it was to go there. And I'm not saying it's a bad college. I'm just giving my experience. It was $60,000 a year at the time or something, $40,000 a year. I'm like, all right, I'm going to graduate with $160K in debt. Now, my GPA allowed me to get some scholarship or whatever, knocked down to 20, still freaking 80 grand, which at that time, like, that'd be like going and getting, because I mean, that was 15 years ago, pre the pandemic. So that'd be like a $160,000 degree now.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
But I was like, so I'm going to go pay to play football. Mm-hmm. And how many kids do you see to do that, right? They go, and I'm not knocking you if you were a college athlete and were able to go play at a D3 college. That's cool.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, man. When's the last time you saw somebody get drafted in the NFL out of D3? When's the last time you guys saw somebody get drafted in the NFL or NBA or MLB out of D2?
Absolutely, yeah. Not much. One in a billion, probably.
And it's probably because he didn't have good enough grades to get into a D1.
Sure, yeah.
Right? It's something silly as to why he's there.
Yep.
But for the most part, it does not happen.
No, you're going there just to extend and play 4 more years of a sport that you enjoy doing.
For $160,000.
For $100,000, yeah.
For a house.
Pay to play.
For a house. Yeah, exactly.
It's definitely a pay to play.
Yeah. And it's for literally a house.
For a house, yep.
You're literally, and in 4 years of your life, and once again, if it's, I'm sure people have great experiences there, but that's another thing. That's a marketing tactic.
It is. Absolutely is. Yeah.
Their football, all your D2 and D3 college sports programs are marketing.
And these higher educations have more of a marketing budget to be able to put more advertisements and ads in front of kids or hire more marketers or do more plugs or whatever to bring in more kids.
Yes.
They really do, because I mean they're a bigger institution. They have more dollars. So it's going to look like to the kid that's coming out, oh wow, yeah, this is a school to go to.
Yeah,
and
I see them everywhere.
And these are the reasons why.
Yeah,
because these are the reasons why, as opposed to the community college. Nobody's going there. I see kids going there, and doesn't really look that fun. Whatever.
But there's a reason.
There's a reason. They're down the marketing dollars that the bigger schools might have, and difference. There's a lot of.
But I would rather you spend it on things that matter to those kids and their education and what it means for them to end up in the real world as productive members of society.
Absolutely. And I tell everybody too, I mean, community, trade schools, community college and stuff like that, even if you don't know what to do, but even though you don't know what you're doing or you want to do and everything too, it's better to take a chance at like a trade school or a community college than a big university.
Yeah.
Because if you don't wind up doing it, you're not out as much as you were.
And a lot of times your federal grants will freaking cover it.
Yeah, they'll cover it. You're not going to be out as much as you were with a big 4-year institution, and also you have something underneath your belt.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
And I got to round this out. Like if you're going to school to be a doctor, nurse, something like that, please do.
Sure.
I don't want my heart surgeon to attend a trade school. Right. But also they kind of do, if you really think about it. Like they learn all the medical stuff, and then they go do their residency, and that's kind of their trade school, and they do that. Mm-hmm. It works, once again, it's kind of my preference. But when you like I said, my biggest thing is when I'm talking to kids and they're like, I want to go start a business. I'm like, then go start a business. Screw up your life before you're 30 because you can fix it after. Like,
correct.
You can do
it now
and bet on yourself.
Yeah.
Like bet on your. Like I walked away with $300,000 in unsecured debt when I was I was going to say 3. I was 24 at the time, and I was able to claw myself back out of that debt. Here I am in a great position today and doing what I love, and it's a great story. But like that was the best college I could ever go to.
Sure.
I learned more about business in that than I ever could have at a business school. And unless you're going to go work at a Fortune 500, they're the only ones that care about a college degree. And honestly, I don't even know if they care as much as they used to.
No. Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I think that it's just such a good, like, this isn't to knock the community colleges or the trade schools. I think those are great opportunities for kids. But what it is take a hard look in the mirror before you go drop $50,000 a year on an institution for something that you may not end up doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because at this point in our lives, both of us have talked to numerous people who I went to school for this and I'm not doing it.
No, absolutely, and we both know numerous people that are very, very successful that didn't go that route,
or just didn't go to college
at all.
Yeah,
and they're way more, they're way ahead of where I'm at.
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's just such a hot topic, man. And I know it can be polarizing because people think that's the way the world is supposed to go. But honestly, I think that people just need to take some perspective and understand that everybody is different.
Sure. Yeah.
And there's value in that.
Everyone has to create their own path.
Yes. And my chapter 1 is different than your chapter 20 and vice versa.
Yeah. Some kids are slower learners than others in life.
Yes.
In general, they have to hit their head against that brick wall a couple of times before they get it. Others might get it right away.
One of my favorite quotes, Dr. John Maxwell, I think I've given the book away, but he talks about don't send your ducks to Eagle School. And our education system is sending ducks to Eagle School all the time.
Yeah.
And then we make kids feel like less than. That's probably what irritates me the most about the system is we degrade kids by saying, oh, well, you're not in honors English, Ryan. You're just in regular English. You're in what they call it when you're behind supplementary English. I'm making up words.
Sure,
at this point,
yeah.
But you need to stay with you're in
not
enhanced learning class.
Enhanced learning. You're not in a college educated course. Or
you're
whatever.
not taking AP classes.
Yep.
Which I can make the argument against that too. I mean, unless a kid thinks they want to go to college, like enjoy high school, man. It's not like I was saying at the beginning of this. When my kids come home and they get a D, and I go, "Did you try your best? Did you genuinely try your best?" Perfect, because I know you're at least worth a C.
Sure.
Right, but I am not gonna. I'm not paying for A's because a lot of times when you're getting A's, you're working your tail off, and you don't have. I think about those kids in high schools that were 4.0s or valedictorians. That's all
they were doing. Yeah, they weren't doing anything else.
No, they didn't go to prom.
No extracurricular, not working, nothing else. Just solely doing that.
Yeah, and they're successful.
That's fine. There's some that.
I was friends with everybody, man. I was friends with I was the jocks. I was the freaking nerd. I was on student council. I was all that stuff.
Sure.
I went to a very small school, but like that. I watch everybody, and like everybody's successful in their own right.
They are, and
it's not. There's no right or wrong path.
No, just all figuring out.
Yeah. What got you into sales then? We kind of never.
Yes.
We just kind of went down some rabbit holes, man.
So like when I So what got me into sales? Well, that's like $1 million question there. I don't think anyone really, when they're growing up, some might do. So I want to get into sales. I've always been community based. Community driven. I've always been proud of the communities that I've been in, and I've always liked helping people out, being relationship based focused, and helping people with problems, helping them find a solution, being there for them.
Yeah.
All the stuff that I said goes hand in hand with sales.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Absolutely.
It's under promising and over delivering, right? If you say you're gonna, if you say you're gonna be there by 2, if you get there by 1:30, 1 o'clock, you're good. You don't want to say you're going to be there at 2 and you get there at 2:30, right? It's setting those like expectations. It's the follow up. If I say I'm going to give you a call on Tuesday, I give you a call on Tuesday. I don't give you a call on Thursday, whatever. So I think that I just naturally gravitated towards like search sales jobs or
Yeah.
business development sales, account management.
Yeah.
I don't even call it sales. It's like account management.
Yeah, I don't sell anything.
Yeah. It's helping people.
Yeah.
Finding a person's pain point and finding that solution that can help them out.
Yeah.
So I guess just and then a lot of the things that I've been in, I've built a lot of good relationships over the years. I've officiated, like I said, for basketball for 24 years and football for 18 and baseball for 6 at pretty much every local school in about an hour and a half radius from Norwalk. So you name it, I've been there. So like I made great relationships with athletic directors, principals, whoever else, and that's also, I use some of those relationships that I built to help me in sales, just, daily.
Yeah.
I've been very, very community based, whether it's, in my church, doing stuff in the community, being involved, with the Chamber of Commerce, being in, BNI, coming to community events, on the weekends, weeknights, after hours, different things along those lines. It's just being there. It's just being relevant, being proud of where you're from. I think that's what's really just kind of got me down that path of sales.
No, that's interesting, man. What was your first sales job? Relationship building.
Paperboy.
Yeah,
by far. Yeah. I mean, really, it was, because like back in the day,
Sunday too, or
but back in the day, like you had to I remember when I got Paper Cure of the Year. That was that was the best thing. I was 12 years old, and it was great. But it was like all the intangibles that you're looking for. You got a stack of papers like back in the day. Depending on what the weather was, it was, first of all, you had to make sure that like they were, rain, shine, whatever, they were covered. And when you gave it to them, it was in the same shape that when you got it from. It wasn't all wrinkled up. It wasn't thrown in the bush. It wasn't so that when they're reading their paper, they can actually read it and stuff like that too. So I think just being able to build those relationships, and you had to find out like where they wanted it. Some wanted it on their porch. Some wanted it in their mailbox. Some wanted you to knock on the door and give it to you. So those interpersonal, skills, helping solve a problem, getting it to them when they wanted it. To them. I mean, were you, when you came home from school, were you waiting all the way until the last minute to like deliver it? So they're getting paper at 6 o'clock. Nobody wants to get a paper at 6 o'clock. They want to, get their paper. And it's different now because it might be, I think there's a lot of papers that are delivered in the morning and stuff like that too. But people would want their paper at 3:30, 4 o'clock. Or something when they were getting home from work. Here's your paper. So I think it started there, and it really just kind of blossomed from there. I also then got into sports officiating also too. I did some baseball games and stuff.
Well, there's sales and officiating.
Sales and officiating. You
got to sell them why you made that call.
You have to sell them why you made that call. You have to sell that trust.
Yep.
When you show up, a lot of times I don't pride myself at being the best official. I don't pride myself, at getting every call right. I pride myself in building that trust when I show up and the coach sees me and people see me, they're like, okay, good. Ryan's here.
Yeah, we're at least going to be a fair game. It's
at least going to be a fair game. It's at least going to be a fair game. He's human. He's not going to get every call right, but we can trust him. We know what he's going to call. We know he's going to call it fair both ways. We've seen him before. He's done a million games. We know who he is. We know he lives right down the road. He's not just coming in here. There's a little bit of resume with him. So I think sports officiating is huge, in sales. Also just, high school worked at McDonald's for 2 years, being able to give people the food they want and different stuff along the line. Good customer service goes a long way. A smile, being nice, conflict management. So I think those are just all the skills that you really need to be good in.
It's a melting pot of skills when it comes down.
It really is.
Selling, and we don't like to use that term we don't use that term in our business. All our guys are called solution providers.
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of looked at myself as a high level solution provider. Like when I'm at a point in my life where I'm entering other spaces now. And I will not go into a space for money. I don't. Money's a byproduct of everything that we do. And if you look at things that way of, whether that's building relationships, whatever it is. Like if I was going to get into the copier sales business, I'd go, what problem can I solve that they're not solving? What is mom not doing? What is their competitor not doing? What is whoever? What am I going to do different? How do I create differentiation and alleviate pain points that's not being solved? If I can't come up with that answer, I'm not in that space.
Absolutely.
And that's the golden rule.
Yeah, absolutely.
In anything.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, why are we going to go with you and not somebody else? Because of me.
Yeah.
Because of the rep. I'm the one you're buying me. I'm the one that's going to be running you toner when you're out of it, on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. when I could be doing this. Yeah. I'm the one that's going to be, answering the phone at 5 o'clock on a Friday and getting you the answer you need, or at least giving you a little bit of peace of mind to be able to get you until Monday.
And you're selling that relationship.
I'm selling that relationship. I'm going to be there. I'm not just going to sell you something and then go away. You know where I live. I live right down the road.
I'll give you my house number.
I'll give you my house number. You know who I am. You'll see me at events. You'll see me at schools. You'll see me here. I'm not going away. You have me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always accessible. You can come up. I'm going to stop in. I'm not just going to live in Cleveland and then just come down here and act like I'm in the territory and then Friday at 4:30. I'm gonna shut that door, and I'll be back Monday at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Don't even think about me. It's just you get me, and that's the promise that I can make. Of why you're buying me.
Yeah, and that's honestly what anybody that's in any type of sales position should be looking at is how do I create differentiation? That's what honestly separates good and great when it comes down to sales professionals.
Yeah.
If you're in that role, and once again, like you said, brought up the McDonald's thing, we had a contest when I used to work at Pizza Hut to sell the most bundles. It was a breadstick and 2 liter for $5, and I won the nation on that.
Nice.
In our little store.
Yeah.
Because what I would do is if Ryan called me up and ordered breadsticks, I'd say, hey man, I can throw a 2 liter on for 25 cents because I figured out the math and figured out the verbiage that would make you be like, oh yeah, man, that's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I probably wasn't supposed to do that, but it was I'm not going to just sell them the bundle. I'm going to take what they already have value in.
Yeah.
Or if you ordered a 2 liter, I think it was a $2 difference. I'm like, hey man, for $2, I can throw you on a breadstick and we can get you a little bit of extra food to feed the family. Sound fair? And we got quarters or something for it. You get a quarter for every one that you sold or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I remember getting a freaking, they brought in quarters. I don't know why for $150 they brought in quarters. Uh-huh. They brought them in. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that was providing a solution.
Absolutely, yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that wasn't necessarily a problem anyone had, but I alleviated, that bill for that night of, hey, I get a little bit extra food for a couple bucks.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and that 2 liter is going to last me the next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it was.
I'm not going to have to buy a pop.
Yeah.
For the next 2 days.
Oh, no, we got soda already done.
Or whatever, we already got soda here. Exactly.
Yeah. Or if they already had the 2 and I was like, hey, I'm going to save them $2. Whenever it was creating that position, as a salesperson, if you can just create a solution, my guys are always coming back. The new guys are the worst. And you probably see this in your business. But our price was too high. I'm like, you just suck at sales. I'll look them in the face and be like, you did not provide the value.
Yeah, absolutely.
We think our price is too low. We just know we're providing a ton of value.
It's a value, what you pay for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they can hire Chuck because I'll stand. If I was standing in front of Ryan right now, he's like, "Man, I got a buddy that'll do this for $50 or less than you or whatever." I'll be like, "Well, why isn't he here?"
Yeah.
I'll call you on the crap, dude. I'll be like, "Why aren't you using him?" Then you'll start spilling your guts.
You get what you pay for.
Yes. He's got drinking problem.
There's a reason he's not busy right now.
Yes, exactly. Well, he could be here tomorrow. Where is he?
What's he doing?
I'll call you a bluff, man.
Yeah, there's a reason why. Yeah.
Such a liberty in sales, though, when you have that when you're confident enough in what you're offering to be able to call that bluff. And that's back to the parenthood. When you can call your kids bluff of hey man, this isn't just because I said so, it's because you're going to do something stupid. And they'll be like, well, I'm going to do it anyways. Go ahead. This is the consequences.
Go ahead. Yep. This is where you're going to find out what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm not going to, I don't want to sell my kids anything, but it's just a good skill.
It is. Yeah.
I sold my wife. You probably did too. You probably got kicked your coverage. Most of
absolutely did. Absolutely did. I'm very lucky. Very lucky.
I'm blessed beyond measure.
Very blessed. Yeah.
Yeah. My wife is way more pretty than I deserve. Like and she knows it. I tell her every day. But that's like that's kind of a little side benefit there, man. We get better women than we deserve.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I sold the value on myself.
Exactly. When I proposed,
that was the hardest sales job I had.
When I proposed to her, I made a post on Facebook or TikTok or something. I said she didn't understand it, but I think you probably will. She was mad at me, but I put like best clothes I've ever done.
There you go.
And she's like, "Well, that's just." I'm like, My guys will get it.
We'll get it. Yeah. It is the best clothes you've ever.
Yeah.
The best sale you've ever had.
Yes. and I overpromised and underdelivered on that one a little
absolutely bit. Absolutely, you did. Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. You sold the value. You sold her every bit of value to get her to bite on it.
Yes.
Close that deal.
But what power is it though, man, when a woman can see the value in a man when he has nothing and sees the potential in who he is?
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
I know you were at a little bit later point when obviously you just got married.
Sure. Yep.
But she still sees value in you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think it's definitely have to be mutual. I mean, she sees value, in me, and I see a lot of value in her. And it's definitely mutual. And I think we also see how, we can better each other.
Yes.
Every single day.
Yes. And my wife's my best friend, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I tell everybody that.
Yeah, I think you definitely, and like I said, I've only been married for 2 weeks, so I'm not trying to give marriage advice and everything too. But the thing we're really work on, and we've done this, throughout the whole dating thing, is be able to keep that line of communication open, and to be able to discuss and talk about, tough topics or maybe uncomfortable, situations, or maybe I said something, or instead of maybe just brushing it under the rug and be like, oh, let's forget about it. No, let's talk about it. Let's figure out how next time we can do this so it doesn't happen, or what things we can put in place to where this doesn't happen again, or if it does happen again, what we're gonna do about it and stuff. So I think it's just always working at it daily.
And marriage is hard.
It's hard.
Anybody that tells you it's easy has not been married or hasn't been married for that long. Like, it is difficult. I'm not knocking you by any means, but in that honeymoon phase, the first, couple months, even first year, everything's smooth sailing. Something is going to hit the fan at some point, bro. Yeah. And then when it does, if you are in a healthy spot with your partner, though, it's amazing. Because it's just like, hey, you know what? It is what it is. Let's figure out how we fix it.
And that's one thing that I was talking to her about too. I said, we are in a honeymoon stage. We will be in this honeymoon stage for the next year, but let's continue to work and work hard, like we're in year 5, like we're in year 10, like we're in year 15.
Because it's work.
Let's work so that when we get to those points, we're not having to like make up ground and be like, man, if we would have done this and put these things in place, it would have been a lot easier now. Let's get these processes in place now and talk about these tough things now and address these issues now, so they don't come peeking their ugly head at a later stage. They're not just going to go away. They're just going to get pushed down, and they're going to come back at a time when, you don't even, they might come back as something else, but they're going to come back.
One of the best pieces of advice I ever got was never stop dating your wife. And I've watched this happen you've probably seen this with so many people, is that they turn into mom and dad instead of husband and wife. And they move down the priority list on that, and then something else gets in the way, and they move down the priority list. And what ends up happening is that they become mom and dad, and when they become empty nesters, now all of a sudden they don't know.
They have nothing. They have no
identity.
Yeah, I've seen that happen. It's
sad.
And I remember, graduating high school and getting my early 20s and stuff, and like seeing some of my friends that I grew up with and knew their families really well, them getting divorces after 25, 30 years of marriage.
They lost their identity.
And you're like, why?
Yeah.
But you're right. They had no identity. Yeah. They put everything in their kids. They put everything into work, which is great. But it was just something you had in place. And then once the kids moved out, once they changed whatever, they had nothing left. So then they just separated.
And that's why when I get introduced, even like at BNI, but like if I'm on a stage somewhere, my bio always reads Christian, then husband, then father, then leader. Because like I look at it as like, what do I want on my headstone?
Yeah.
Right? I want that Christian first, right? That's something that if I put my identity in, that's my belief as a follower of Christ, that's something that can't go away, or that I shouldn't neglect, I should say. It can go away. But then I should be focused on being a husband. Because although we're in this parenthood phase and we're loving every second of it, we don't want to get so engulfed.
No.
And like my wife and I are very intentional. Like we love our daughter to death, but on both of our lists, she ranks number 3.
Absolutely, yes.
Because I think that you yourself and in it being intertwined with Christ should be that number 1, right? We have to have that self-love that should be intertwined with Christ at number 1. Or you could separate the two and put her at 4. Then it should be my wife.
Sure. Yeah.
Then it should be my daughter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or my kids.
Yeah.
When we have multiple.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's great that, and I love my girls to death, do anything for them. But on the pecking order, yeah, they're number 3. And they know that.
Yes.
And I've said that multiple times. Like God's 1, your mom's 2, and you guys are 3.
Yes.
I love you to death. I love you to death.
It's not a bad thing.
But that's just where you're at.
Because if you're successful as a parent, guess what happens? They leave.
Yeah, because after you leave and you start your own family,
I'm gonna be stuck with her. I gotta love her.
You gotta have her number 2.
Yes.
God's only give me number 1, but I gotta have her number 2.
Yes.
If her number is 5, 6, if I ever down the line, then we're probably not gonna be together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. And a lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people don't think about that.
No.
They just get stuck in the rut and they get stuck with life going on and they get stuck in like the routine and everything, and then their partner just slips further and further and further down the line. And then when it just comes back to them and their partner being there is nothing at all that they have any kind of connection, and then it's just done.
Well, and then like the putting your value as a human being in the place of occupation is wild. Like, that to me, like just saying like and I'm glad in your elevator pitch you didn't introduce yourself that way. And I don't think we've ever had anybody sit in that chair and introduce themselves as, hey, I'm Dylan and I own All American Roof Pros. I'm Dylan and I am a Christian. I am a husband of Tori and I am a father of Lainey. And then on top of that, I run a couple of businesses. That should be the pecking order, because
Absolutely.
If my identity was placed in running this place, God will strip it away tomorrow. And I've invited him to multiple times and said, if it's your will, do it.
It could be done.
Yes.
Yeah, it can go under tomorrow.
Yes.
Hopefully it doesn't, but it
Yeah,
could.
I pray to God that it doesn't. But if that's his will, let's get it done. Like, let's get it out of the way now, right?
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
That's if you realize what has a season and what doesn't. Like, eventually, we won't have an occupation anymore.
We're not.
We're never going to stop being dad, but we will stop being at the capacity we are today.
Absolutely will. Yep.
But the eternity of what is husband and wife, especially in the biblical sense of it, you have to place that at a high
Till
value.
death do us part.
Yes, yes. And I tell my wife all the time, she's gonna have to kill me to get rid of me.
Yeah, yeah. Say that
I ain't
too.
going nowhere, And but that's the real value in the whole thing, man. And just that the love that you can have for yourself and then the people that are important to you. Because who's going to talk about it? Like, mom would replace you tomorrow if something were to happen.
Oh, yeah. They do get a salesperson just like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
They have to.
They have to.
It's not because they don't care about you.
Nothing to get, and I'd want them to.
Yes.
If something happened to me, I'd want them to get somebody to take care of my customers.
But there's not another person that can be dad.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And if we stop and just take some perspective, and I get it, man, we're both hard workers. We both are very involved in stuff. There's a lot of times when I get home at 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
But I really try to shut it off when I get home and just enjoy that 2 hours while the baby's up, just to be with her.
Be with her. Yep.
And then be with my wife after that, and just be intentional. And man, this is good stuff. I would like to open up the floor. We've been going for a minute, and I feel like we keep going. But I would like to open up the floor at the end. If there's anything we haven't discussed that you want to talk about, man, the floor is yours.
Well, nothing really I want to talk about, but maybe a little bit of backstory. I know we had talked a little bit about your backstory, but how did you get into the business of roofing?
I've never had anybody ask me.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. So for me, I grew up in the trades.
Okay.
My dad was a tradesman. He was a siding installer. And when I was about 19 years old, as I kind of hinted about when I was in college, My cousin, brother, and I decided we were going to go out and start a construction company.
Great.
My brother just graduated from high school. My cousin was wrapping up an associates in construction systems management. And we're like, hey, we can go do this.
Yeah.
Full service remodeling company. Went and did that. Did that about 3% margins for anybody that knows business. That's not good. So we did that for a few years. Didn't do well. Ended up, I talk about it a lot. Like, I remember scraping for change for a $5 meal deal at freaking KFC just to like keep going. Didn't know how I was paying the guys tomorrow. Didn't know, terrible financial spot. And honestly, it got to a point where, not to get too deep in the story, but I think there's value in it. It got to a point where I had contemplated taking my own life. It was just, it's a heavy topic, and I can go into more depth about it, but honestly, it's something that I think we should talk about more, because it wasn't, I look at my life today and I'm so blessed and so thankful that wasn't something that I followed through with.
Sure.
And so then after that, I went and I didn't file for bankruptcy against everybody's. I literally had everybody telling me just file for bankruptcy. And don't know if it would have been better or worse, but I had a pride chip on my shoulder, and I'm like, these are debts that I owe. I'm paying them off. And went and started flipping stuff on eBay. And literally would go to like Walmart and browse their clearance section and find stuff that people found more value in, Goodwill. Just hustling, man. And got that debt paid off between that, delivering, driving at Pizza Hut again. And 2018, I got an itch as I was back in school to get my teaching degree for high school mathematics. And I got an itch. I was like, I think I want to do this thing again, but I think I know what to do. I think I know what I did wrong.
Yeah.
And so we started American Metal Roofing in 2018 when my brother got out of the Navy.
Okay.
And when we did that, we focused on roofing only. We focused on metal roofing only. So we were very niche down, which I think there's riches in the niches, and
there is.
And there's so much value in it. In 2021, we became the largest residential steel installer in the state of Ohio.
Wow.
So just that quick turnaround in just a few years. And then we rebranded to All American Roof.
So did you have a background in roofing growing up?
Yeah, so that's what we did growing up.
Okay,
sorry, that's a long part of the story.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what I did. I mean, I was a fat kid, so I got to drag around all the heavy stuff.
Sure.
I've always been a bigger guy.
Yeah. And
my dad would actually take us out on jobs. My brother and I joked that he would pay us $10 a day and take out lunch money from that. So we'd be doing like 47 cents by the time it was all said and done, because we were fat kids. And so that's like where we got that mentality from.
Okay.
Grew up doing that. Always super handy.
Yeah.
We flip houses now, or we flip rentals now, and like there's nothing in there that I can't do, and I'm super thankful for that. Like that is something that my dad gave me.
That is great. Yeah, you can't teach that.
No, I don't have to call anybody. Like I could, we would do full service in the other business, and we were good at it. We just weren't good at selling it for a good margin.
Sure.
And that's where I learned how to sell by necessity. I'm kind of like you. There was nothing to me that was like sales is my thing.
No.
Until I found it, and I was like, all right, I'm actually kind of good at this.
Yeah.
And now I can go toe to toe with anybody in the realm of sales, because it's a muscle. So I talked to, you and I talked, we were talking after I spoke, and you're like, man, you're just so good at speaking. I'm like, it's a muscle. You have to speak a lot to become good at speaking.
You do.
You have to sell a lot to become good at sales, or have relationship conversations to become good at sales. Because I'm like you, I'm relational, not transactional. I don't care what you're going to do for me financially. I care about, am I going to solve your problem, and can we build a good relationship?
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
And if I can't solve your problem, I'll flat out come off your roof and say, hey, man, there's nothing
I'm the
here.
same way. Yep.
And yeah, we've evolved the business. I mean, it's a lot. It's 100% like 360 or 180, I guess would be the proper term, from where we were. I remember sitting down and looking at years that we would laugh at for months, and now, and we're like, yeah, man, we can just get there. We take that perspective base a lot. We have those conversations a lot with some of our core teams been around for a while. We're like, man, how far have we come?
Sure.
And I give my sales guys a hard time because they'll complain about driving a crappy truck. And I'm like, bro, we had a 94.
You don't even want to know where we came from. You don't even want to know.
Big Red's still sitting up top, man. But that's what we call her, 94 Chevy 2500. You'd be lucky if you got there on. You'd be lucky if you got there. You'd be lucky if you got there on time. And she did a lot of work, but it's crazy.
A lot of blood, sweat, and tears probably went into that.
Yeah. But I would work on it. I was the mechanic. I was the sales guy. I was the installer,
Yeah.
And that's why when guys like I want to do what you do, I'm like, you've got to do what I did, man. Like, it's hard. Because it's all up here is the problem. Like I can show you the blueprint, but you have to go through trials and tribulations. It's kind of like back to kind of wrap up the conversation. It's kind of like a walk with Christ, right? Like you have to.
Yeah.
I can tell you how great it is, but until you do it,
you have to do it.
Yes.
You know, I mean, like I said, I mean that goes back to our conversation where like people are different learners at different times, and some people learn longer, and some people have to go through trials and errors. I mean, like I said, I mean, I guess a little bit, you know, more about my story as well too. Like before, during the time when I was, you know, going back to trying to go back to school many times, I worked a blue collar job at a produce company as a driver, you know, delivering, you know, potatoes and fruits and vegetables and really heavy stuff like at restaurants for like almost 15 years. I had to bust my tail like doing that, you know what I'm saying? While I was, you know, going back to school to figure it out, while I was doing my officiating, building my brand, you know, to be able to then eventually put my brand and everything into something that I really enjoy and I'm good at, and I actually start making decent money because of it.
Yeah.
You know, but it took me that amount of time to be able to get where I'm at now. It took you the amount of time, that blood, sweat, and tears, and that hard work, and those sleepless nights, and scraping quarters, nickels, and dimes out of your cup tray to be able to pay. It took all that stuff to get to, you know. People can't just learn that. They have to live that. They have to live that.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and that's a good point, man. Because like even so, like we're kind of talking about two different sides of the coin a little bit here, and that me as the entrepreneur and you as someone who works for somebody else, and it's not bad either way, right? And either way, it took sacrifice to get to a point of success.
Yeah.
You had to sacrifice something. You know? You had to sacrifice your time, your energy, your efforts. You had to go learn what you weren't good at. And you had to do all these other things in order to find your path. There's no easy button to figure out what you're good at in life.
You have to put thousands of hours to master your craft.
Yes.
That's what you do.
And there are some guys who luck out and they go get a job out of high school and they love it and they do it for the rest of their life. Maybe they don't love it. They just get stuck in it or whatever, but it doesn't matter. They figured it out early. Yep. There are some guys who didn't. What's the old adage with Colonel Sanders? He wasn't like 63 until he started KFC.
Yeah, he was older. Yeah, when he did it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it doesn't matter. There's always an opportunity to restart, whether that's in your 40s, your 30s, your 20s, 50s, 60s, 70s. Like it can happen.
Absolutely can. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think that, like you said, I think a good way to wrap this up is like no one decides one morning when there's no kid in school who goes, I want to be a salesperson.
Not at all. They wouldn't even know what that looked like.
No, they go, I want to be a relationship person.
Yeah.
And that's how we find those paths. Good ones. What I think is the good ones, not your slimy, what everybody thinks is like that slimy used car salesman.
Yep.
and that thing. And there's good car salesmen out there. Don't take it that way, please, world. But either way, at the end of the day, it comes back to find something that you can provide to the world with, but you also find some joy. Because there are parts of everyone's job that they do not like.
Absolutely. Yep. But if you're not passionate about it, you got to be passionate about it.
And find a passion.
Yeah. Find a passion.
But that's awesome, man. This has been a really good episode, a great conversation. It's been great to get to know you officially. I know we've crossed paths.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's great to hear your story and also where you came from and, you know, why you are where you are and why you're successful as you are. You know,
appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So
there's always more to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Always more in the tank, but at a point in my life where I'm blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I thank God for it every day. With that being said, guys, if there's something in here, as you guys know, I like to wrap these up. If you just happen to throw this on and woke up and now you're listening to it, I'll give you a recap of what this episode's about. But there's a lot of value in here. You know, we talked about so much stuff, whether that's getting a restart in life, I think is honestly one of the biggest things, or not even a restart, but like resetting yourself to put yourself in a position to be successful or to find a new path. There's some value in that. I would also, you know, a good chunk of the beginning of this episode was talking about Ryan and I and our beliefs and where we're at with Christ and that good stuff, because I think there's a lot of merit in that as well. And, you know, I would invite somebody that if you would like to take a next step just based on this conversation, maybe you're hearing about Christ for the first time today, go to a local church, just pop your head in and see what they're all about, or deeper than that, message our page here, and I'll be more than happy to have a phone conversation with you. But also, we talked about parenthood. We talked about our jacked up school system that we could, our education system, I should say, that obviously Ryan and I have similarities with. And, you know, if you disagree with us, drop it in the comments. We'd love to hear about it. But other than that, y'all, if you got some value out of today, or you know somebody else that needs to hear this message, the best gift that you can give us for just taking some time down to sit here and talk is to share this with somebody that you think needs to hear something in this today. Because that's obviously, you know, our goal is for me to sit, or my goal is to sit in this chair and hopefully between Ryan and I be able to touch one life. If we can do that, ultimately we are committing to what is the purpose of this and what the why's why is. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for your time. Ryan, thank you again, brother.
Thanks, Dylan.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
And keep asking yourself, what's your why?